Right, so this is kind of one of the last steps of your project, at least on your individual level, the composition part. Once you're done, we talked about this in class, once you're done with your piece of the composition, we can put all of your parts of your group sort of side by side with each other and get them kind of all the same. Now, one of the things that I hadn't mentioned yet that will really help your group when you're performing is you want to have the same kind of use of the different staves. So for example, like in my sketch here, or in my ostinato, I wrote out the snare drum part, the bass drum part, and the clave part. So you want to use that same order throughout. It'll just make it easier when you guys are rehearsing and trying to get it together. Similarly, we want to like stay on the same line all the time. So I've been using the third space up, as you can see, on all my parts. So it's just important that it's consistent throughout the piece within your group so that it's easier to read. So step one, if you go to Schoology and open up the assignment for the score and parts, actually just assignment for the score, you can see a bunch of criteria there and things that it will walk you through the process. And I'm just going to follow that right now, and you'll see how quick and easy it is for me to set this up. You'll remember I only had a 16 measure sketch, but obviously you're going to apply that to a much bigger scale for your piece. So I'll just show you how to lay all this out and how quick and simple and neat it can be by just following some simple steps. So I've got a big old straight edge here, helps me draw a straight line. So I'm gonna go and group all my, so I have 3 instruments. If you have 4, obviously you want to group 4 staves together. And I'm just gonna do that. This staff paper, if you wanted to get your own, obviously I put it in our folder in Schoology for the project, but you can kind of design your own at blanksheetmusic.net. I'll write some brackets here just to make it a little easier for us to read. Kind of groups things together. And of course we need our percussion clef, so I'm going to just jot those in real quick. Again, just kind of following all the procedures that we've had before in our other composition assignments. And it's okay if you need to practice, you should spend the time and just write out a handful of these clefs, or if your notation's not that great, you should definitely practice. It's something that composers do all the time. My meter, I'm going to start in 2/4. I'll stay in 2/4. Okay. So clef, then meter, and unless your meter changes, we actually don't have to write meter on every single one. Okay. Now I'll write in the instrument names, and I'm going to, again, keep it the same throughout your group. Snare, drum, bass, drum, and clave. Now sometimes you can use an abbreviation down here, so as long as it makes sense, SD, BD, and clave is short enough, you can just write it out. So you're seeing how quickly this kind of comes together and how neat it is. Okay, again, we're going through and making sure that we have all the things that are on this list and also on this list, right? So be sure, number 2, be sure your meter appears at the beginning of the first line in all parts. Okay, so I got my meter in here. Tempo marking. Okay, so I'll keep it, I'll put it at 88. Okay, that's, again, that's our metronome marking. All right. Now I'm just going to kind of Keep it nice and consistent throughout. Some lines. And I know that I can fit all of this stuff reasonably together. You can do it different ways. I think it looks neater without having the measure lines go all the way down instead of writing all the way down. I'm just setting it up so that the bar lines are together vertically, but not going all the way through. And so yeah, it takes a little while just to set this stuff up. But again, you're seeing how the straight edge really makes this worth our while. And I'm sort of cheating because I know that I won't need that much space because I have a bunch of repeat signs I'm going to use. But again, it's going to be really clean and easy to read by using this strategy. So I've got a nice layout here. All right, so I've got my sketch, I've got this all laid out. 4 measures 2T, that means I'm going to write out 4 measures of this ostinato pattern. So I'm already knowing that this is going to go pretty quick for me because I can use these repeat signs that we talked about. Really useful, keeps things nice and neat. Get the bass drum going. And again, notice how I'm lining up the counts vertically. So this falls on beat 1, they're all together. This is on the and of 2, so notice how I line that up. It's nice and neat. There's no doubt about where the parts are. Toss in some repeat signs. Make sure you got it going the right way. And the clave pattern. And I definitely need a dynamic indication. And since this is the first statement of this idea in the piece, I'm going to make it nice and loud so that the listener gets the picture. Forte, forte, forte. So at this point I could put a double bar here because I'm going to actually kind of change ideas. And one of the best ways to mark sections is just by using measure numbers. So I'm going to just put a little 5 up in the corner. That's the 5th measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to put it in a box. Nice and neat. There we go. And then I move on to the next 4 measures, right? So you can see that I've set this up. It's really neat. It's very clear. I can follow through the rest of this, all the rest of these parts in my score. And let's see. Just want to make sure that I cover everything in my notes here. Oh, of course, the last thing you want to do, if you look at this assignment, it says, here's what I'm looking for the final score in parts. It contains an ostinato of 3 individual parts, blah, 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 right? So all the criteria is listed right on Schoology. That should be a checklist for you. You should go to Schoology and go through your score, have that list, and literally check off all those boxes, right? So that's where you can start. And like I said, what we're going to do with this, after you write all this out, is put it next to your group members' other compositions, and hopefully we can kind of glue them all together. Or if you're one of the groups that decided to sketch together, then obviously each of you needs to sort of flesh out your component of the sketch. Again, keep things simple. keep it neat. Obviously, I'm doing 4 measure phrases here, nice and neat. And lastly, just to remind you, you will need all this stuff again on the next page, right? So you'll set up the brackets, the clef. You don't need the meter on the next page unless it's changed. Yeah, it shouldn't take you more than an hour. If you're having real serious difficulty, make sure you talk to me. Happy composing.